Hi, John Morgan here, and welcome to this week's episode of Bob's Live. And you might have noticed a few changes. So, we've got a new title sequence, and you'll see a new closing here later. This week, I've got two things that I mainly want to cover. And the first is the fact that it is our customer appreciation sale. So, right now, heading into summer, we're marking things down and that way we could kind of clear out and start to get ready for fall. But that means that you can get some really great deals on plants right now. So let's check out our customer appreciation sale. Today I'm here at our Belpre store location, and right now at all of our Bob's Market locations we're having our annual customer appreciation sale. So let's check out what we have on sale. Normally $18.99. Right now our bedding flats, 10-inch hanging baskets, and 10-inch decorator pots are on sale for $12.99. Our 6-inch potted zinnias are now $3.49, and zinnias make a great choice for midsummer color. They can take full sun and they really hold up well in the heat. Behind me is some of our tropicals. All of our tropicals are currently 30% off. If you're looking for an already started tomato with the cage included, our 10-inch cage tomatoes are now $7.98 each, or 2 for $15. Our ferns were $22.99 each, and now they're on sale for $16.99. Our Bulbs Better Blooms 4.5-inch pots were $32.99 for a flat of 8, and now they are $22.99, so you can save a whopping $10 per flat. These are just a few of the great deals you can find at all of our Bob's locations while supplies last during our customer appreciation sale. Oh, there went my knee. Yeah, my knee still hurts from that. Anyhow, of course, you can always find us on social media. And, as the previous segment, it's our customer appreciate. I can't talk right now. It's our customer appreciation sale. And we appreciate you guys so much. And we want to interact with you. So jump onto Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and check out what we're posting at Bob's Market. We love hearing from our customers, and we also love seeing what you're doing with the beautiful flowers that we grow. So if you've got pictures, share them on Facebook, and they might just end up here on Bob's Live. And of course, you can watch Bob's Live, as I said, on Facebook and YouTube, and also over on our website at bobsmarket.com/live. Before we jump into the main segment this week, I want to take a look at the weather because it is a little bit toasty right now. Right now, they actually have an excessive heat warning out for our area. It's 91 degrees, but it feels like it's in the hundreds. So I don't know how clear it's showing up on the screen, but it's saying that it feels like 107 right now outside. And the bad news is, looking at the extended forecast, so we're going to hit 95 by evening. Tomorrow we're looking at 96, also 96 on Thursday, 92 Friday, and then we're going to cool off down to 80 if that's really cool. But we're going to cool off down to the 80s this weekend. So, yeah, it is pretty daggone toasty out right now. So, make sure you're keeping an eye on your plants and you're going out and giving them some water because they'll really dry out in this heat. I know we got a ton of rain last night right here in the mid Ohio Valley, but still, you need to make sure that your plants are getting enough water, especially if they're in containers. So, hanging baskets, pots, your raised garden beds, you want to make sure that they're getting the water that they need. Oh, I lost my mouse. Where is it? if you can see what I'm looking at, I've got 4 screens in front of me, so sometimes that happens. This this week, I wanted to talk about plant conservation, and that's been kind of the theme this month. If you're following our blog, so we've talked about gardening for wildlife, and also planting native plants. And this week, I wanted to do something on Bob's Live that ties in with that. And a few weeks ago, I went out and visited United Plant Savers, which is a medicinal plant sanctuary in Rutland, Ohio. And a lot of people don't even know that it exists. It's kind of tucked away a little bit outside of Rutland. And a lot of people around here don't even know that this resource is available. So it's called United Plant Savers. It is a sanctuary for medicinal plants, but they also have hiking trails and a ton of educational opportunities if you want to learn about the native plants in our region. So I sat down with them and discussed what exactly United Plant Savers is and what they do. So let's check that out. Today I'm here at United Plant Savers in Rutland, Ohio. Let's learn a little bit more about what they're doing to save medicinal plants. So, first off, you want to introduce yourselves?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. So my name's Katie Patterson, and I grew up here in Meigs County in Racine. And I work here at United Plant Savers as the program manager. And so I oversee kind of the daily operations here on site at United Plant Savers. And then I oversee the programs that we have, such as like our Artist in Residency program, our Botanical Sanctuary Network program. We have an internship program where people come. So I'm here in the office, answer phones, just kind of greet people and do a lot of that, the daily ins and outs of keeping the business going.
Yeah, and my name is Jules, or Julie Scott is my proper mother given name. But I grew up in DC and I live in Athens at the moment and have been helping here since last summer. And I just help everything keep going, keep the wheels turning. I assist Katie with most of what she does, and you know, we all wear a lot of hats around here, so yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
What is United Plant Savers?
Yeah, great question. Great question. So United Plant Savers is a 501c3 nonprofit, and we were started in 1994 by a group of herbalists who were realizing that a lot of the plants that they had been using for years and that were popular in commerce, the populations have been diminishing in the wild. And so they all got together and came up with the idea to protect these native medicinal plants. And so they started United Plant Savers. And it was actually started on this land here in Rutland, Ohio. This is our botanical sanctuary. So that basically means this is a piece of land that's set aside to just be a sanctuary for these plants to live. We're not necessarily digging them. We're not, trying to sell them. We're literally just setting this piece of land aside. There's about 400 acres here. And it's basically just a repository to be able to propagate plants, plant them, just for people to come and see them in their natural habitat, for us to educate people about why it's important to protect these plants. And I also think that this land and this botanical sanctuary specifically honors the just kind of ancestral connection with Appalachia and a lot of these plants. So, you know, ginseng, a lot of people's granddads dug ginseng, or their great granddads, and made a living, and maybe that's how they got through part of the year, was, you know, digging ginseng. So I think it's really cool to have those ancestral ties, especially in Appalachia here, to these plants. But also over-harvesting has led to them now being at risk. And so part of what United Plant Savers does is that we have an at-risk list. And so our board of directors and our at-risk list committee, they meet, I think, about every other year. And they sit down and they have like a scoring system where they go through each plant and they talk about ginseng and they say, okay, you know, and are you seeing it? You know, what's the cost? What populations are left? What's the demand? What's the supply? And they go through everything. And so they have this list where they score the plants. And so we have an at-risk list that's published every year in our journal, and it's on our website. And so that's kind of our basis for what we're doing, is this list of plants that's at risk. So yeah, I mean, we have a lot of things going on, but in a nutshell, that's kind of our you know, bread and butter, is just saving these medicinal plants, educating people about it, and providing the space for them to be able to live in sanctuary and for people to come and see them in the wild. Yeah.
I think that's great. Instead of creating like a seed bank, I mean, this is serving as kind of a natural seed bank.
Exactly. Yeah, like a living seed bank. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And a lot of the native forest plants that we have here are difficult to start from seed. Or like they're not, it's not just, oh, pop them in the greenhouse, you know, halfway through the summer you forgot, and just stick them in your garden. There's knowledge and, you know, pieces to the puzzle that really help them thrive. And a lot of them are so slow growing and they take years to put out seeds. So, yeah, I'm really grateful that we have so many people in the community that hold some of that knowledge, and it feels really good to be able to share that with people who are willing to listen and learn.
You were talking about ginseng and over harvesting of it. Do you cover, like, for people that do harvest ginseng, do you cover like managing areas or plots that they have?
Sure.
Kind of proper conservation of those areas?
Yeah, so, you know, more recently there's come out the term forest farming, and it's growing in popularity. And last year and upcoming this end of the month here in June, we're going to have another forest farming conference. And so that's when we invite people to come out here and we teach them all about forest farming strategies and how they can manage their wild stands of ginseng or their cultivated stands of ginseng. And that helps to take the pressure off of a lot of the wild ginseng that exists out there. So our hope is that, you know, if, you know, someone who lives a farm over from here grows 2 acres of ginseng, then that pressure will be taken off of 2 acres of ginseng that exist on national forest land or national park land. And then that ginseng that was cultivated specifically to be sold can be, you know, what is dug. And we actually have a program that we run called the Forest Grown Verification Program, or FGV. And so these are people who, you know, say Bob's Market has some farmland that's forested. They wanted to start growing some ginseng. You could get forest grown verified, which means that certain buyers are only buying forest grown verified to keep poachers from selling. Basically, you know, if you're poaching and then you sell it, but you're not forest grown verified, they're not going to buy it from you. So it's kind of a protection program that's going into place to try to keep buyers from buying poached ginseng. So you all would be able to get, you know, verified as forest grown verified, and then, you know, buyers would be able to buy your ginseng. So we're kind of trying to put some barriers in place like that. And we try to educate people. I think poaching's always going to happen, you know, especially with the demand and the value on ginseng root. But I do hope that through forest farming, we're able to at least reduce some of the pressure from these wild stands.
Yeah, poaching, that's a term that most people, I think, associate with animals, but
That's
it does
true.
happen
That's
with
true.
plants. So.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
and we've noticed since the start of the pandemic, golden seal has started to be poached even more prominently. And golden seal does have a lower monetary value than ginseng does, but medicinally it's, arguably just as high. And really special to this area. A lot of old timers call it yellow root. And it's actually the plant that formed United Plant Savers. There's a giant stand of golden seal here on our land that was called Hydrastis Heaven because the genus name for golden seal is Hydrastis. And we've noticed a lot of golden seal being poached around here. And, the price is going up on it. And so, yeah, it's kind of, it changes with the demand of what people are poaching. And seems like they're not worried about just pulling up on someone's land and digging stuff out. Ramps get poached pretty often, especially from state parks and national forests and places where people don't think that someone's going to catch them, but ramps are definitely a big one as well that people are poaching. Yeah.
Yep. So you mentioned ginseng and golden seal. What are some of the other types of medicinal plants that?
Sure. Yeah, so we focus mostly on forest botanicals.
Okay.
So these are plants that exist naturally here in Appalachia, like in this eastern deciduous forest. We do also focus some on prairie plants and wild natives that grow even in ditches and things around here. But mostly we focus on the forest medicinals. And so some of the big ones are ginseng, golden seal, ramps, slippery elm trees, because trees also count as medicinal plants. Blue cohosh and black cohosh, bloodroot. There's all kinds.
Ginger.
Yeah, wild ginger.
Yep.
We have a lot of rare, really special native orchids. There's so many special plants, and some of them, like ginseng or golden seal, are still used in modern day for specific medicinal uses. But a lot of these plants have long history of being used medicinally, and we don't use that in modern day because there's more easily accessible alternatives. So you could use bloodroot for a number of things, but should you? Probably not, because the pressures on the plant are so high, and there's other alternatives. But indigenous people that have lived here for thousands of years use these plants in a way that we might not now. But they're still really, really special and unique to this region. So
yeah, well said.
Yep. Here on site, you also have a library. So it's not only a repository for plants, it's also kind of a repository for knowledge.
Totally, yeah.
So you want to talk a little bit about kind of that aspect of it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So as you mentioned, we do have a library on site. So our new Welcome Center that we're sitting in now, it's also called the Center for Medicinal Plant Conservation. And in 2019, it was dedicated to Dr. James Duke and his wife, Peggy Duke. And Dr. Jim Duke worked for the FDA. He did phytochemical analysis of plants. He traveled all over the world. And he owned the Green Pharmacy in Maryland. Which served as this beautiful garden space and learning center for people to come. And he wrote several books, including Herb a Day and the book called The Green Pharmacy and several others. And so upon his passing, we were gifted his library, his personal library, along with all of his filing cabinets with all of his research work, personal documents, pictures, some of Peggy's original illustrations. She illustrated books while he did a lot of the research and information for them. So together they made these beautiful plant guides, and it's phenomenal. So yeah, our space now serves as more than just coming to see the plants, but also people coming to do research on plants. And last year at the end of 2021, we did a fundraising campaign for archiving what we're calling the Duke Ethnobotanical Archives. And so that's kind of the whole gamut of the books, the pictures, the photos, the research paperwork, just kind of everything. We have a whole bunch of slides, like old picture slides of all the plants that he, visited and seen. And so we actually have a fellow here right now who's working on archiving all of that and digitizing it. And so we're hoping to be able to make that public on our website for everyone to be able to see, thanks to all the kind donors who donated to that campaign.
It's a treasure trove of knowledge and wisdom. And I think it's really neat because so many of those books are out of print or just so, even if you're enthusiastic plant lover, herbalist who's doing some deep dives, a lot of those books you would never get your hands on. So it's really, really special to have that in one space where people can come and see that. And we just want to preserve that. And Susan Leopold, our director, is really, really a bibliophile. And so not only do we have Jim Duke's collection here, but she has recently purchased 2 other massive collections of amazing herbal books from professors and whatnot. So as those are becoming available, we're trying to preserve and keep those in temperature controlled spaces and make sure that they're in good hands. So
so this place, it serves not only as a repository for plants, a repository for knowledge, it's also an education center. So people can come here and learn, and also there's trails here.
Right? Definitely. Right. So we also have a bit of that recreation aspect as well, and that, kind of like visiting and touring and that whole aspect. So we have about 8 miles of hiking trails here, and those were mostly developed by Paul Strauss, who was one of our founding members, along with several groups of interns over the past 20 or so years, building this trail system through the woods here. And our most popular trail is the Medicine Trail. And most of our trails have signs all along the trail that call out the plants with their genus and species name as well. So it's really nice. It serves as this, like, even if you're just out on a walk by yourself and you don't know the plants, you can still look and see the name of the plant, take a picture of it, come back, look it up, look at it in our library here. So it kind of, creates this more holistic experience, I think, than just going on a regular walk in the woods. You're still going to gain a lot from that. But to be able to take it that step further and have that deeper educational aspect to it, I think is really wonderful. And we're always improving upon that. We use slate signs that were upcycled from an old barn roof that was here. And, slate has its challenges. It cracks and it fades. And so, we're ever evolving and trying to get our environmental education program, make it better and better. And that's something that I'm really focusing on and enjoy doing, bringing school groups out here. And we try to get them out on the trails and just, get them involved. And I think one of the best things that I learned in school was provocation is one of the best things that you can do, especially for children, and, to get them interested in learning about plants is just to provoke something exciting inside of them. Just make a connection, or make, if they walk out of here after a whole day in the woods and they say, hey, I know jewelweed because I got stung by a stinging nettle and it hurt really bad, and they showed me what jewelweed was and I recognized the orange flower, and they'll forever know that. And if that's all that they learned and the rest of the time they acted like they hated the hike or they hated getting stung by the stinging nettle, I feel like we still had provoked something within them. They still had that experience, that connection to where, they're like, oh, wow, this works. This is cool.
The revelation, you can eat that chickweed or the dandelion leaf or whatever. And they're like driving in their car, oh, I see that. I can eat the autumn olive. We can make jam from that. Those things help you feel rooted to a place and feel a deeper connection. And when people feel a deeper connection to the land they're on or the space they're in, oftentimes the hope or the wish is that they feel some responsibility and want to take care of it and pay attention and be a good steward to the land. So
well said. So I think the trail system, the environmental education system here, like all of that helps to just make people want to care more about these medicinal plants and why it's important to save them. So
and it's exciting because we get a range of people. Some who visit are very well versed and know exactly what they might see and are delighted, and others who show up might not recognize the clover, that grows in the lawn. So it's really wonderful to have a space where everyone could feel welcome, and we can meet people where they are, and everyone can enjoy it. So that's wonderful.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how can people learn more and come out and visit and take a tour?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have a wonderful website. I know not everybody has internet or access to high-speed internet, but if you do, I highly suggest getting on our website. It's just unitedplantsavers.org. And we have a whole page on there about visiting the sanctuary and what that looks like. And you can fill out a form saying, what you're interested in coming to visit for, the purpose of your visit, if you're just wanting to come and hike around, or if you want a guided hike, or if you want to host an event here. So whatever that looks like for you, you can get on the website and fill that out and request. You can come and just, call us, stop by. All that information is also on the website. We could also maybe put it in a description of the video or something as well. Maybe put some of that information in there. You can email me. Again, my name's Katie, and my email is manager@unitedplantsavers.org. And email is a great way to get a hold of us. And we just invite people to come out. We're usually here like regular business hours, Monday through Friday, about 9 to 5. And, just stop out and visit the site, come and hike the trails, swim in the pond, just really enjoy, Appalachian summer or fall or winter or whatever season you want to visit in, because it all looks different. Different plants out at every time. Our spring wildflowers here are phenomenal. They are really the unsung heroes of this area. And I feel like, surprisingly, there weren't that many people who came out for our spring wildflowers this year to come and see them. So I would suggest for next year, around April, May, for people to come out here and come and hike and see those. They're really special, like forest wildflowers. And I feel like a lot of people don't think about that in the spring, of like going out in the forest to see special wildflowers, but they're out there. We're out here in Rutland, Ohio. So if anyone's in the general area, we get people who come in from Athens, Point Pleasant, Gallipolis, the Mason area, Ravenswood area.
But occasionally we'll have someone from Colorado, or people will come a long way to visit.
People do. Yeah, you're not wrong. We have a map up in the yurt, and we've been starting to track where people are from. And we literally, within like 6 months, have people from all the way on the East Coast, all the way on the West Coast, like, California, Oregon to Maine and Georgia, and it's just really crazy to see the array of people who've heard about us over the years and who want to come and visit. So it's really cool. It always surprises me, being from Meigs County and growing up here after the fall of the coal mines and the fall of all of the industry that was here in the 90s. It was not a whole lot going on, and I always grew up thinking, there's not really a whole lot here, not much to be proud of, I felt like. And I moved away for a little while, went to school, and then I moved back here, and I now have a completely different perspective, and especially after working out here and getting this connection with the plants, and then specifically seeing people coming all the way from Colorado and Oregon just to see this place really blows my mind. And that's been very humbling for me and made me a lot more proud of this area and being from here, because I'm like, wow, there's stuff here that people want to come all the way from Colorado to see. Like, we go to Colorado to see the Rocky Mountains and to see the beautiful things there, but there are people who want to come here and see what we have in Appalachia, because it is that special. And I feel like we don't talk about that much, about how special these plants are. The beautiful rolling hills here just create these perfect little microclimates for these special plants that only grow in very, very specific areas. So it's really wonderful.
As an outsider, I visited my uncle lives in Athens, and I visited him 7 years ago in April and May, and I felt the magic of the hills and never wanted to leave. And I rearranged my life so that I could move here and live here. And it has always struck me there are people like Katie and friends of mine and locals who are so grateful to be here and so proud. There are also a lot of people that don't see the beauty that's right in front of them, or just can't get to can't wait to get away. And I'm here like, you guys, this is as special as it gets. And so it's a hope of mine, and I know, Katie, you feel the same, of helping people feel connected to the land, proud of the land, to see the abundance that is in these hills. And I don't know, I think it's one of the more magical places I've ever been in my life. And I hope the people that actually live here feel the same way more and more.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Also, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook. Forgot to plug the socials.
Oh, yep.
But we do like Instagram a lot, and we post on there fairly often. So that's always a fun platform, I think, to reach people on.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was United Plant Savers, and yeah, I do recommend going out and checking them out. Um, for me, it just kind of ties in with my love of plants. And there at the end, they were talking about how much the area means to them, and to me, that kind of hits the nostalgia for me, because I remember when I was little going out in the fields and in the woods with Grandpa and him showing me plants. And then, jumping ahead to high school, I had to press plants and identify plants as a class project. And then once I got to college, I took plant taxonomy, and, I've got a big Horkin book here that's the flora of West Virginia. And this has pretty much every plant in West Virginia if you need to identify a plant. And of course, I work here at Bob's, so I love plants. So yeah, if you love native plants, I recommend definitely checking out United Plant Savers. And coming up, I'm going to be out next week, so I've worked on a video that's kind of pre-recorded that you're going to see in place of a live episode for next week. But then the week after, we're going to take kind of the United Plant Savers experience and show you how you can sort of create the same thing at home. So we've talked about gardening for wildlife and planting native plants, and now we've kind of seen a professional plant sanctuary. So in that episode coming up, we're going to tie all of this together and show you how you can implement it at home and also get recognized for it. So I think that's going to be a really awesome episode. And yeah, you'll just have to wait and see with it. Next week, I'm going to be finishing up, or, well, mostly finishing, a garden project that I started last year. So if you saw me putting together the raised beds last summer, I finally got some dry weather so I could get dirt into them. So you're going to see kind of the conclusion of phase 1 of that project on next week's episode of Bob's Live. That really won't be live, it'll be pre-recorded. But until next time, keep growing.